13, 2014 meeting of the Haymarket Planning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here.
Here. We have a public hearing held open from the last meeting regarding St. Paul Church's special use permit. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the Planning Commission on this matter?
Yes, sir, I would. I'm Phil Whitrock. I'm the director or something like that of the school board president. I gave you a diagram of the school, and if you will just bear with me, let me kind of explain what all those numbers mean. First of all, it's for next year starting in September. According to the DSS guidance, we get 20 square feet per child. When you look at the diagram, right there in the upper left under A, that's door A for us, there are 3 rooms in the old parish hall. Over to the right, what we call the admin wing, there are 3 rooms over there, and then down at the bottom is the modular with 6 rooms and 2 bathrooms. The numbers at the top of each room, as an example, the first one there, 503, that's how many square feet are in that room. Using 20 square feet per student, it yields a max of 25 students in that room. What's in parentheses is what we are planning. That's 16, and down at the bottom of each room, that's the class. It's pre-K 3. Those are 3-year-olds prior to kindergarten, pre-kindergarten 3. So, each room is kind of separate. Let me go to the second one because that's kind of confusing. The second one in the middle of the parish hall, and then the one down here next to the kitchen. They're 573 square feet. The 1414 and then 2/3D. We have our pre-K 3 programs, the 3-year-old program. We have 5-day, Tuesday, Thursday, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So there's 3 different groups that come in. The 1414, that means on Tuesday, Thursday there, we're planning on 14, and on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're planning on 14. Same thing in that other one. Yes, ma'am.
Can I interrupt you
Sure.
for just a minute? Again, it's something I think that's gotten lost in translation. The only thing that Planning Commission and Council are looking at is the trailer.
Oh, okay.
And it's just simply, for my opinion, and I can only speak for myself on this board and for on council,
Okay.
my only thing is our code says you need to apply for this annually.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm assuming the fire marshal has signed off on
Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm just kind of curious on why we can't just apply for this annually while you're asking for it for multiple years.
Okay. Let me first explain why I brought this in and why I'm going into this detail. I'm sorry, I don't even know your name, sir. What?
This is Commissioner Ring.
Ray?
Ralph.
Ring.
Rain.
Ralph Rain.
Ralph Rain. Okay, he asked me when I left the public hearing if I could bring in something that showed how many we planned,
Numbers.
what the population was.
But for the trailer, because we're not looking at the
Yeah,
school.
no, I understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And let me say something else. A lot of people are confused because I put out an overall number, and the overall number is the total number of students, but because we have 2-day, 3-day, and 5-day classes, it varies as to how many are in at any one time.
But I
let me go.
don't see those listings in the trailer. I see where you have that in the classroom, but we seem to have solid numbers in the trailer.
Yes.
So,
The numbers in the trailer are all 5 days.
Okay.
That's for pre-K4, the 4-year-olds before kindergarten. And again, the numbers in parentheses is what we're planning on using, and the other numbers are the numbers that we are allowed. And just so you know, one of the documents that we had on the original SUP in 2009-10, whenever actually we signed off on it, we were at a meeting similar to this. I think the lawyer was here, and we were discussing how many people, students, we ought to be able to have. And he said, how about 135? And everybody says, sounds good. That's why I'm showing you all this information. We're not going to go over 135. We plan on 132 next year. Okay? Now, in each of the rooms, the modulars, there are 6 rooms. 2 of them, are a little bit smaller because they're bathrooms in the hallway that intrude into those rooms. And we plan on having 10 students in each room, and the 2 end rooms, which are a little larger, we're going to 14 because we have a demand for a lot more on the pre-K.
What did you say the square footage per student was?
It's right up there at the top left.
Out of curiosity, how can you get 2 additional students in the 280? That puts you 10 feet under.
If you divide 20 into 280, I think that's 14.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm just going off your numbers
Yeah.
that you have in here. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may speak. Part of working with Mr. Whitrock on is because this has more or less evolved over time. Several permits were issued in the interim. What really started out was, a quick history, is they moved from the police station over to there. I had to go back through the file. There's a lot of paperwork on the request. So it was 2 things. One, it was a waiver of the site plan requirements for establishing the school over there in itself. And then the SUP was specifically tied to the office trailer. So Mr. Bennett, the council at the time, had recommended or had an opinion saying the council could waive the site plan requirements. This is your buffering, your screening, your stormwater, all the various requirements that are we would normally impose upon repurposing of a building.
That was Bennett?
That was Bennett. But the idea was that at the time, St. Paul's was going to build a permanent structure on the property that it controlled down by the church. They've now become a separate entity from the diocese. So obviously the plans to move to that facility or construct a new facility had died. So they continued to apply for the SUP as each of the time frames came up. So you had kind of several documents. You had a plot plan that I have some extra ones I can distribute to you, which dealt with the trailer and relationships to its use. We had a traffic narrative that was updated several times. We had controlling development conditions that talked about changes in ownership and how many students could be there and various other conditions. So it's kind of all these moving parts. So the idea with Mr. Whitrock was just to start from anew. Going forward, we're going to have a separate SUP number. We're going to have the accompanying plat, get new conditions, revise the traffic narrative, and just have that be a complete package that moves forward rather than trying to recreate the history every time we come through. So, Mr. Chairman, you did ask about several things in terms of traffic.
Actually, we get that public hearing part over with. I can
Okay.
close this out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then we'll
Jump right into it. Please continue.
Thank you. I don't know what the record shows. I found my notes from when I briefed the Planning Commission on 9 June 2008. And in those notes, a couple of things I wanted to bring up that still apply. That is, we're not expecting to downsize. Actually, we're growing. We had a 5-phase, as Marchant referenced, we had a 5-phase plan to renovate the parish hall, which we did, to put in a portable temporary for overflow space, to build a modest permanent school on St. Paul's property, and to enhance that. Now, since that time, we've lost the property. I think I mentioned, I'm not sure anybody heard it, but last year, in a period of about 2 months, we finally came to a position where, in concert with QBE, we're allowed to rent some space in their facility. We intend, having had discussions with Dr. Landry, we intend to continue to expand down there and to draw down at the Fayette Street location to the extent that on school year 16-17, which starts in September 2017, as of 31 August 2017, our lease with the diocese for that property is up. So all essentially what I'm just suggesting is that we would like, in whatever manner, whether it's annually re-executed or whether there's a codicil that says we can do it and you just kind of wave your magic wand, which was kind of what happened in the past every year. We just, for business purposes, for continuity for the children, for their stability, we'd like to have a plan in place that we know where we're going, at least for those next 3 years.
Chair Weir, can I ask a couple questions? Is there any chance that you may be, after 2017, looking to renegotiate a lease with the Episcopal Diocese to continue use of that property?
I doubt very seriously. I can't say absolutely no.
Okay.
I mean, because where we were a few years ago has changed remarkably, and we couldn't...
Well, no, due to expansion, you can't be 100% certain.
It's not expansion,
Okay.
but it kind of depends on what happens.
Well, population,
Yeah.
I guess, would be the best way, not expansion, sorry.
Kind of what happens down there with QBE. Right now, we're anticipating pretty good expansion,
Okay.
significant expansion down there. But, who knows what happens. I will say this, there's absolutely no intention to expand that lease and to stay on that property longer than 31 August 2017.
And you did state you do not have a problem with just, our code says trailer use for this purpose needs to be renewed annually.
Yes, ma'am, I
So you
understand.
do not have a problem with coming in every year, because I don't want to say no to a school, so of course I want to say, yes, you can use it. It's just our code does say you need to apply for it annually. You
Yes,
don't have a
ma'am.
problem with that?
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I was coming in for the first 2 years. I came in and I checked to make sure that I didn't have to come forward and say something. And that's when I got the document. I think Jennifer gave me the document.
When council gave you the waiver for...
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
Mr. Tobias, he says, there's no sense in doing this. Let's just kind of make it automatic unless there's something, that we need to
Okay.
approach. So I haven't, for the last year, 2 years, come in until it ran out.
Bob, at our last, I know you had asked Marchant to gather information. Do you want to let Marchant present that now?
I didn't want to close it.
Public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Anything else?
Sir, let me just say one thing. A lot of what we did originally was predicated when the school was right over here. The traffic flow was created similar to what we had there to go over to the parish hall and the modular. The hours were about the same. They have all been changed slightly. They've been tweaked to do things that are more reasonable. As an example, if you were to look and see in the traffic flow that we're flowing in the opposite direction. The reason we changed that is because of the angled parking spots, the way it was coming in. If you angle them in the other direction, we get more parking available. Second, if we come in from the other direction, we basically have more room for cars to come in that keep them off of Fayette Street to alleviate congestion there. So when you read the document, you're going to see some changes that are there. If you would like, you can give me whatever your concerns are about any of these kind of things, and I can work with Marchant or whomever and try to put things in a more concise, singular form. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have, any concerns you might have. I will just say this, I cannot be absolutely certain of anything, but we have no intention of remaining in that facility, either the parish hall or the modular.
Thank you,
Sure,
Mr.
we'll have some
Bartlett.
questions shortly.
Okay?
Does anybody else would like to speak?
I'm David Jones. I'm not a resident of Town of Haymarket. I used to be in the ministry at St. Paul's Anglican Church in the the sponsoring group for the school. I think you're aware of that. Just a couple of things that Coke mentioned, and that is the traffic. One of the things that we've done is to try to adjust the flow of traffic in a way that, again, does not impact the environment, does not impact the streets. And one of the ways we've done that over the last 3 years or so is to stagger the pickup of the different classes and groups within the school. And so I think that has been very helpful to make sure the flow goes. So let's say one class comes in at 8:30. The next class might come in at 10 minutes to 9, 9 o'clock, so that there's a staggered drop-off, staggered pickup as well. And also the teachers have been very acutely aware of being sensitive to the traffic issues and have deliberately resisted conferences or talking with parents while they're sitting with their cars out there and other people are waiting. So the teachers who are in charge of the drop-off and the pickup, they're very sensitive to it, and they want the child to come out and to be put into the car, strapped in, of course, in their car seat, and then be gone. It's not a time for conferences with teachers or parents. So I think that's important as well. I do appreciate the town's previous help in the past with this, again, as I mentioned before, and I'm thankful for that. Thank you very much.
Anybody else who'd like to address the Planning Commission? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Announcements. I have none. Is there?
Council still meets the first Monday of every month. I'm good.
I'm assuming that ARB meets the same Wednesday of each month.
The third.
Citizens time. Anybody like to approach and speak to the council, the Planning Commission? Seeing none, when that. Minutes. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 10th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
SUP for the in-home business at 15008 Gosselin Manor. Everything looks complete. Fees are paid, correct?
This would be a motion to schedule either a separate hearing or a joint hearing with the council.
I'd like to motion to schedule a joint public hearing with the town council at our May 5th? The May 5th meeting?
Joint public hearing?
Yeah.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Roll call vote, please, actually.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. If you'll bear with me just a second, I have to recess for a second. My children are home alone.
We're recessing for a second.
Just for a second. Let's bring us back.
Seriously. Hold a real recess. 5 minutes. I mean, come on.
You just want to go outside for a cigarette, that's all you want.
No, I want to make sure everything's off so we can chit-chat while we're waiting.
All right. Special use permit 15008 Gosselin Manor. Place we just finished.
And we covered 7 under 3.
Dispense with 7. St. Paul's Church. All right. I'll talk to Marchant about this. I'll talk to you guys some length on this. I don't have any issue with reissuing the SUP because we have to reissue it. It's not a renewal at this point because of the
Reissue,
change,
yes.
correct? What I would like to see prior
For
to
1 year or for the entire period they're looking
well, that's what we're going to discuss here. What I would like to see are a couple of things. The plot plan as it's currently constituted, the plot we have on file does not match the property. It needs some minor changes to it with regard to the traffic and that. So what I would like to see is a revised plot plan that shows the current parking reflects the current conditions. There should be some relatively minor changes, and Marchant can help you with what the required changes are on that.
Okay.
What I would also like to see is a revised traffic narrative that provides the current parking restrictions, your current policy on off-site parking both for parents and employees, and your current traffic flow, so that we've got that memorialized in some sort of document. And the last thing I'd like to see is a revised condition of approval, and what I'd like is some written text with what the proposed duration of the SUP is, given that this is now 6 years old, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd like a duration with a drop-dead date that, of course, can be extended, but I'd like some finality to this, since it is a quote-unquote an SUP for
Honestly, since
temporary
they're
use.
renewing this annually and they don't have a problem with it, I don't think a drop-dead date is
To
really
meet the temporary use, we're going to need a drop-dead date, I would
Yeah.
think.
Otherwise, it's true.
Otherwise, it's not a temporary
No, I
use.
have to disagree with you. The fact that they have to renew this annually through this process, I don't think we need a drop-dead date. I don't think you're looking at this quite the right way. I mean, they have to go through the public hearing process annually, coming before PC and town council. Correct,
Can we
Marshall?
just do it for a one-year
Well,
thing?
Well, I
They
understand
said
what
they
both
don't
you're
have,
saying.
yeah, they said they don't have a
think
problem with doing this annually.
Everyone
so.
can ask, but at what point does it no longer become
Temporary.
temporary? You're simply renewing it year after year after year. So I think,
The first time a council says no.
yeah.
Wouldn't that be the
That's-
answer to that question?
Trying to meet the statutory
Well, you,
definition.
Ms. Bear, I got to make fun of you. You just said earlier you wouldn't deny a school request for.
Yes, but then,
So
but then my last date's June 30th. So,
I think what the chairman is suggesting is that the last time is a drop dead. They'll continue to ask for this permit on an annual basis, but the use itself, use of the trailer, is not to continue after X.
X date, whatever X date is.
So what Mr. Tobias had done before was what we've done, similar to what we've done with other SUPs. It says it renews annually, but with the
Until it
majority
runs out.
vote of the council, they can vote it down. So I can bring draft language back to you guys for you to consider and look at.
What I would also like included in that is hours of operation, maximum enrollment. I want it all tied to the plot plan like it was previously. So if we can just tie this all up with a nice ribbon and make everything match, so that we've got one controlling set of documents instead of multiple renditions, so we can just put this old file to bed and replace it with one comprehensive plan that we can deal with. I'm assuming getting this done by May won't be an issue,
For the night PC meeting?
for the May Planning Commission meeting?
it won't be finalized for council until our
June.
June meeting.
The reason I'm hesitating is because on the 24th of April, I'm going to the Rhine River in Germany. And
Can I go?
Back till the 5th.
Can I go?
Yeah?
When's the May PC meeting?
Our May PC meeting isn't until the second Monday, which is the 12th.
Oh, you mean for your meeting, not
Yes.
the town council
Not for the
meeting?
town
Yeah, I
council.
can do that.
You won't be able to make it to the council meeting until the June
Yes, ma'am,
council
I
meeting.
understand, no
Okay.
problem, no
Okay,
problem.
in that case, let's defer further action until May 12th.
Can I read this back to you, make sure I
Certainly.
capture it correctly? Revised plot plan reflecting the changes, or reflecting the current conditions. Narrative, the traffic narrative, talking about the current parking restrictions, off-site parking policy. What was the third one?
It was off-site parking policy for both employees and students/parents on the traffic flow.
Students, and then traffic flow. Okay, revised conditions of approval, which reference the,
Duration of the SUP, hours of operation, maximum enrollment, all tied to the
tied to the plot plan.
revised plot plan, correct? That should make it nice,
Okay.
easy.
I will work with Mr. Woodrock to get that back to you in May.
Mr. Whitlock?
When we say a revised plot plan, this is done by an architect, an engineering firm. Do you want it in that detail, or can we just say, I don't know how to say it. Actually,
Whiteout's a wonderful thing.
yeah. Yeah, sure, thank you.
There we go, he got it.
Yeah.
We're good.
Works on government plans at the federal level, why not here?
Thank you.
I've actually walked into meetings with site plan drawings before federal agency with a can of whiteout in my hand and a pen, and if you can believe it or not, a T-square.
Maybe they just want to strike the consultants and engineers.
so it doesn't require an engineer stamp, right?
Yes, but we want to strike this one off of it.
Yeah.
We're tinkering with their.
As I recollect, when we did this originally, there's a site plan, but I thought we had
You have a waiver for the site plan
a waiver
requirement.
so that we could just draw what was necessary.
Correct.
I will do whatever, I'll get with
We can
Marshall.
make it work.
We'll figure it out.
We'll make it
Basically, we're going to crop that out, take that out, make your notes, and
Yeah.
be on our way.
Okay.
Okay.
And the other thing, let me very quickly just say this, someone made reference to 6 years. It's very confusing, but the original sub in 2008 was for the move of the school from that building to the parish hall.
Okay.
And we renovated the parish hall. 2 years later is when we put in
2002.
modular. So it's really only been about 3, 4
But I thought the application for the modular was well before.
No, it was 2010.
We discussed
Yes.
that we were probably going to need one.
Yeah,
This
there was a
plan-
lot
this
of,
I'm getting old.
yeah, there was a lot of discussion and talk, but it didn't come before council till 2010.
Works for me.
I have my
That-
direction.
It seems older than that, but
That,
yeah.
that damn memory.
All right.
I know.
I'll work with the applicant and come back to you.
Thank
See
you.
you guys next month.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Schneider, the parking proposal.
Before we get into that, are we going to make sure at no point in time we discuss pricing on this, or does Planning Commission need to go into closed session to discuss this? There is pricing in this, and we are supposed to make a recommendation to council.
These are publicly available, are they not?
Correct.
Yeah, then we can discuss the price.
Really? Because council always goes in there to discuss
Well,
bids.
Well, I
so
think
we
once you
don't-
make
Once you make the offering public, and they've been
Okay.
open, correct?
Just checking.
They weren't even a closed bid.
They weren't closed bid? Okay, then they're open.
Yeah.
They're open. If it wasn't closed bid. it
Mr.
wasn't
You
closed
are
bid.
correct. It's, in certain situations, you have to be a little more discreet about it. In this case,
Yeah,
it wasn't.
just making sure.
There was no closed bid.
Because of the nature of this is for professional services, so you actually don't fall in quite the same parameters as
Yeah.
like construction dollars.
So we received 4 responses to the request for proposals. One from EPR, which is a consortium of several consultants. One from Forsberg, one from Berkeley Group, and one from Gross Slade.
Hold on, I do apologize. I had my copies and in order, but did not bring them with me, so give me just a minute. Marchant, for EPR, do you know what page number their total was on?
I do not, but it was
It's on
14,000.
page 16.
14,750.
Okay, I'd like to discuss EPR and I believe it's the Renaissance Planning Group.
Are you talking about two different?
I'd like to discuss these two.
Yes.
That is Berkeley Group
Berkeley
Yeah.
Group
and EPR. The other 2 were from
Yeah,
Gross
no.
Slade and Forsberg.
Good proposals, just
A little out of our ballpark, so.
Well, you just can't say something about them.
Huh?
Yeah, the EPR in Berkeley came in just under 15,000, which was the cap mentioned by the council when they initiated the RFP. Gross Slade at the low end was 29,000, high end was 62, and the Forsberg proposal was at 22,500. We did review. Brian and I spoke briefly. We did feel the EPR and the Berkeley Group did a good job of addressing all the components of the RFP. And felt that those 2 would equally, or not equally, but would both do a good service to the town. So we'd be happy to answer their questions about that. What we're looking for from the commission is a recommendation, or you can narrow it down to 2, or make a single recommendation to council for them to go ahead and award a bid for the contract.
Were there any glaring deficiencies deficiencies in any of the four that would disqualify them as being non-responsive?
Strictly on price, the other two kind of exempted us from it.
Taking price out of the factor, I don't think there was an issue other than budgetary constrictions, so.
So is your inclination to go with either, or recommend either EPR or Berkeley Group?
EPR.
The director to staff or Commissioner Bear?
Asking Ms. Bear first, I'll ask you.
Okay.
Yeah, Councilwoman Bear doesn't have a problem with
Councilwoman,
either
sorry.
of the two.
Sorry.
Every PC meeting, he demotes me. No, I found both of them to be equal in what they were providing. So,
Mr. Schneider, your opinion?
I'm leaning toward the EPR. I felt it went a little more in depth into understanding the background and the history of it. Berkeley Group, I felt also similarly did that, but it just felt like I was leaning more toward the EPR proposal.
Mr. Ring, any comments?
I also favor the EPR. Having read through both of them, I think that was the more professional, comprehensive proposal.
I should concur with both of you. That being said,
send EPR as our first choice.
I would entertain a motion that would forward the proposals of EPR and the Berkeley Group in that order of preference. The town council is the recommended contractor should they decide to go with a parking study.
So moved.
So second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. No, do we need a roll call?
On this, I would prefer
Okay.
to do a contract and roll call, please.
Aye.
Yep.
Aye. Town planner report.
I just started sketching up on some things I think most of you are aware of. We got the Chick-fil-A request back in. That is several things. It's a zoning text amendment for its own signs. That's for menu boards. Also, this SUP for the drive-through. Mr. Chairman, I do need to do some more research on your statement at the last meeting that there were some limitations with the previous site plan.
Correct.
Regarding that. I've not tracked that down yet.
As I recall, it's a limitation on the original limitation for the original site plan was one restaurant drive-through in the interchange park, and no other could be within 500 linear feet. It's in the code somewhere.
Well, I did find that. So in the I-1 code, you can't have a second within 500 feet of it. In the B2, you can't have another one
Yeah,
within
but there was
500
something that was tied to this specific, it was tied to the Coral site plan. as I
Split
recall.
quarrels, yeah.
And then when the CBS came in, I believe if I'm not mistaken, I've been a little fuzzy on this, I believe the allowance for the drive-through for the CBS took up the drive-through, was used, in essence, took the allowable drive-through restaurant use to provide for the drive-through use at CBS. And I don't believe there was a condition in place to allow for a second drive-in use, restaurant or otherwise.
Okay, no, but they are going to be submitting. So this is being submitted to you ahead of the site plan amendment.
Yeah.
The site plan amendment would come through, and they are having to do a revised traffic study.
They're going to need to be done conjunctively.
Yeah. So I'll go through and try to find that. In fact, I'll be able to find it.
I'm not going to entertain them separately.
What's that?
I'm not going to entertain them separately. They're going to have to come in conjunctively.
Okay.
There's no chance, because there's no chance that their application is going to make it without the site plan amendment. Right?
You can approve them independently. Most folks will do them concurrently.
Yeah,
I think
I'm going to require.
they wanted to know first if the SUP was going to be supported by the commission before they went ahead and did the
the SUP is going to be
Specs.
dependent on the site plan being approved, the amended site plan, so.
We could condition it that way too.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, that's the way I'm going to look at it. It
Okay.
doesn't, I mean, I don't want to get in that situation of passing an SUP and then having a non-conforming site plan amendment that gets turned down and the SUP is now worthless.
But what we've done is requested them to incorporate the various sheets from the site plan to show landscaping, parking, all the elements we'd otherwise look at. We've made them do it as part of their special exception plat. But I will convey to them. Originally, we thought they were going to co-process the site plan amendment with it, do it all at once, and then they broke it away. So I'll talk to them again about co-processing.
I would much prefer it being the other way. It would make it much simpler for us.
It does reduce overall parking on the site. It was overparked by the original plan, but I'll bring that all to you for your consideration.
It's still under the mins, or still over the mins, right?
So they are coming back. They went to the ARB last month to vet the concept. They're coming back to the ARB this week to further define that concept, the architecture. And I think the ARB is well aware that, or the applicant is well aware that anything through the site plan that would change the site layout or anything else relevant to the certificate of appropriateness would require them to come back in. So, other than that, sheets did come in. Holly and I are looking at the sheets rebuild. Again, it's the tearing down the entire structure, consolidating the canopies. I did hear from the ice rink folks, the architect for the ice rink. They do want to come in and modify their site plan. If you've been there recently, most folks have to channel through that one little office on the corner of the building. They want to revise it to basically create the main entrance on the east side where most of the parking is. But they were having to come back to the commission for a final site plan anyway. So they'll make those changes on the way to the final site plan.
We still have the caveats on finishing up some of the leftovers from our first plan before moving on with the second, correct?
Correct. That'll be required as part of the final site plan. Removing the office trailer that they were using and other elements, or the bathroom trailer.
Has ARB voiced an opinion on the facade that was supposed to be put on the front of this that has yet to materialize?
They haven't come to the ARB yet for the revised plan.
Okay.
So we would have to phase it. One of the issues we had with the original plans, they didn't phase it. They simply got started, stopped, and we really had no. They got the parking, they got the lighting, the other elements done. They just never did the additional in the building, so there wasn't really a nexus for us to demand that they build it. So
Well, my only pause is before going through the process of, letting them do more is, well, let's finish Project A before we do Project B.
there you go.
So,
They do want to abandon before they were going to try to bring out the second floor over the alcove that they currently have out in front of the building right now. They're going to abandon that. Simply do a second floor between the rinks. You can see viewing stands. You can go in, look down on both ice rinks, and do most of the activity on that end. So, again, I'll come back to you. Robinson's Paradise, which is the rezoning north of town, they're doing some significant revisions to their site layout. So, more or less starting from scratch again. So we'll be getting
same number of houses?
Same number of houses. One of the issues, they were going to do all these series of pipe stems, which just made it very cumbersome and didn't meet a lot of our ordinances. So it's a tight site. So
Are we going back to Plan A, or are they coming up with a whole new?
almost a whole new,
Oh, okay.
from what they're telling
Because
me.
I think Plan A only had one little
Exactly.
pipe stem that
They did.
no
They
one
had some
really
little ones.
cared for, but
They had a pipe stem, then they had a T with a lateral. It was a lot going on. So they're going to come back and with that soon. Gentlemen across the streets have hired the former engineer that did the site plan for Payne Lane. And we're expecting that they're going to come in soon. You may have seen some surveyors out there marking the site.
You mean the original site plan with the 3 large boxes?
Correct. So they were trying to some cost savings by getting the original engineering done out there and verified. So we expect to have that in soon. And you may have seen some of the revised materials they put up to show the new facades and stuff. What else? Jordan Lane. There's some dealing with some light. Jordan Lane. The old garage has come down. They did get a approval for a demolition permit by the ARB. So that issue's been dealt with. Talking with the folks across the street, recent weather we had, part of the roof blew off one of the houses over there. Did approach the owner saying it's going to take 18 months for you to get through your site plan process. What can you do now with the houses with the roofs falling in? So they've agreed to go ahead with their phase 1. study, which is them investigating is there asbestos in the buildings, or are there other things on the site, and hopefully we'll start moving soon. Not heard much else from the firehouse.
Back to Payne Lane.
Yep.
The two homes that have roof damage, that I know of for sure, the old stone house and the one on the corner, are either of those slated to be renovated for their master plan that they have for what they want to do?
Yes, the one on the corner of Payne Lane and Jefferson,
Yes.
that one's to be incorporated in their plan.
But the old stone house that's had the hole in the roof for, oh, okay.
They're bringing that one down. That's what we asked them to go ahead and move forward on the phase one to bring it
Okay.
down. And then we've also talked to them about the gray house on Fayette. That will come down as well.
You
Haven't-
mean the general's home?
the general's home.
Colonel, General, Lieutenant.
Sergeant, whatever.
Are they doing a structural analysis on it?
Oh, which one?
The officer's house, for lack of a better term.
I don't think anyone's touched it in a while, so, or at all, in some years. So,
Now I'm going to ask the question. I know it's going to make some cringe. However, our code for raising a building, there's a formula that has to be reached for renovation costs versus demo, correct?
if there's a denial from the ARB to bring down a building, they have a process that.
But it's only after the ARB denies it?
Correct.
Tell them to go quickly. Go ahead.
No?
Last time,
I'm not saying a word.
Winterham did get the new owner of the Winterham house, Dr. Payne's house. They have.
Is that the entire site or just the winter
Just the house.
Oh, they subdivided?
No. They want to put a tenant in the
Oh,
in the
tenant.
house.
You said owner.
Oh, I'm sorry. The new owner of the entire property
Thank you.
wants to put a tenant in that building. They kind of did it piecemeal. We had the building inspector get a hold of the property manager. They've hired an architect now to go ahead and start doing some drawings to make sure that what they're doing to it will last.
What type of business? Or we don't know that yet?
I know some tentative ones, but I don't think they've asked me.
Oh,
They've
okay.
asked me not to make it public, but I think there'll be some nice uses in the building. Biggest challenge is they got to
Multiple uses in the one building?
No, several offers to reuse the
Oh,
building.
okay.
So,
Just checking.
sorry. And then the firehouse, I've not heard from them. I did get a request for references for architects that the town has done business with or that done business in the town, but I have not heard back. Same thing with Blight, the bungalow on the side, starting to get some broken windows. Paint's starting to fall off the side of it in front of the firehouse.
I have another question about the Payne Lane property.
Sure.
The car dealers. What happens to them with development?
They would go away.
Okay.
The last time they were approved to move from the bungalow over there was basically that and no more.
Okay.
So they would go away.
When the buildings cease to exist, those businesses in allowable use cease to exist.
And then
We'll talk offline about that one.
working with the Madison shops. It's on the corner of Madison and Main. There's the house right behind it, the blue one, that the streetscape is right up against now. Talked to Ms. Pardo. She had asked about how to request a permit to demo it. We've not heard back from her yet. She's reluctant to do it, talking to her about getting some sort of...
Well, a
Either-
few years ago, she had asked about demo, and then a year or so ago, she had worked with some structural engineers to get something, and now we're back to demo?
Correct. The structural engineers said she would have to occupy the second story, the whole roof would have to be raised.
Correct.
And that was a cost she was not interested in doing, from what I'm told. So it was back to the demo. At this point, we got to do something with it. So
Is it listed on our historical?
it is one of our contributing structures. So on Payne Lane, the only one we list specifically as a contributing resource is the one on the corner that they're incorporating in the plan.
Gossams here isn't? And the general's house isn't?
No, it's still historic because it's over 50 years old.
No, well, see, I thought one of the oopsies in the past, the general's house was. It was the general's house.
It was on the walking tour that was done,
Okay.
but
But it's not on our list on the comp plan, correct?
No, the revised comp plan that's coming to you will have it on there because it is a contributing structure. But
Unless it doesn't exist any longer.
so
Let's take that.
honestly, I think the concept that they're looking at to replace it with will
So
will
much
be
more.
context sensitive.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the buildings actually is going to look like the old Bull Run Accounting building that's coming down.
You're joking.
No, when you look at the illustrative, they do it a little more tastefully, but it's a low, single story, kind of low sloped. It looks a lot like the Bull Run accounting office.
Are they flexible on this plan?
Marshawn,
Yes,
that Bull Run right over there?
yes,
Yeah.
the shack. So,
Oh,
you'll have to see
okay,
it though.
well,
Same roof line.
The same roof line, it's a better space. It's interesting when you look at it, you're like, huh, that looks like the old Bull
Well,
Run
we're
accounting
getting rid
building.
of that.
Well, no, what they want to do each
So they're moving
each
it.
block is a little bit different. It's supposed to give this not this monolithic facade.
As if the town, the theme was, and the town not burned after the Civil War. Some of the architecture, the batten board, the wood siding, the stone, the brick. So,
Okay, moving on.
Okay,
sorry. It should be an interesting plan. So, okay, I'm done, Mr. Chairman. Now we have the CIP.
CIP.
Questions, comments, concerns? I think Brian and I have pretty much nailed it, but
I have one question. Where do we stand on the budget for the year?
Excuse me a second, Mr. Russell.
we have a budget meeting Thursday.
And the intent is to earmark $533,000 for CIP?
No, a lot of this is grant funding. We need to recommend the CIP so we can work it into the budget appropriately. So,
When is the budget going to be published?
if you hadn't asked me my drop dead date, I could have told you. I believe it's
The goal is,
the week after our next budget meeting.
yeah, I think the goal is to have it advertised for the May, do the public hearing at the May meeting so you can adopt
Yeah.
the regular June meeting.
There's no way you can have this ready to have this published by the May meeting. That's a two publication cycle, isn't
No,
it?
because we're having our
Budget work session
on the 17th, and then we can advertise Monday, and then the May meeting. So that gives us 2 weeks. It's Monday hold on, let me pull up my... Monday the 21st, and then Monday the 28th, and then we have the May 5th meeting. So that's more than the 2 weeks. So, we're good.
And we haven't provided any budget numbers of this body yet?
Well, yeah, the ones all of us have.
Copy of the draft budget.
Not my fault you didn't make it to the budget meetings. Want to play that game?
I'll entertain a motion.
The only thing is council is asking to put $100,000 towards engineering and $100,000 towards master plan construction. But from mine and Brian's discussion and discussion with other people, with the way engineering is going to happen with putting out the RFPs and the amount of time to engineer, there's no way there's going to be $100,000 spent in construction. So we did leave $50,000 in that for commission to consider to recommend. For some of the fixes we may be able to go ahead and start doing on site as engineering is coming in. And then we did also, the original budget, estimates were about $500,000. We did tack another $200,000 into the 17-18 in case we, engineering does show we need to do on-site stormwater management. We were just kind of basing that extra $250,000 off of Daisy's estimates. So, other than that, unless you had any questions about anything anyone had requested, the $42,000 for the caboose renovations, that's grant. The shared use path, that's Conley money. The municipal parking plan, we may very well get done out of this year's fiscal budget, so it would just,
Strongly suggest
well,
that being done.
hopefully. So it does put our figure a lot lower than the, 533 we're looking at. But, honestly, a 5-year CIP at a $3 million and change total, it's not a, hugely significant. So,
It's achievable.
it's actually achievable, so. Was there anything you found to go with?
No, not there.
Okay, thank you.
Something else, but that's okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
How do
Tell
we
me.
identify this?
Huh?
Go
How do we
ahead.
identify this?
Is everyone okay with the narrative as well going forward?
I'm fine with it.
You did get all of our changes into,
The changes. If anyone else has any other changes, please submit it.
No, I just like the fact that it's defined.
so.
Yes, we did.
Yes. I don't want a motion. I worked on it. I'll second it if Ralph wants to motion.
That's all I need to know. Did I make a motion to approve the CIP as...
Forward the draft CIP.
Recommend.
Forward, sorry. Recommend the draft CRP as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Rainey? None? There?
I'm content.
I will say one thing.
Enjoy.
Yeah, I actually have seen the draft budget, and I've seen the current numbers for this year, and I'm terribly concerned on two fronts. I have a sneaking suspicion that you're not going to have any money at the end of the year to fund parking study, much less anything else, given shortages that are going to probably accrue in several revenue line items and several egregious overages. So I have a feeling that money's going to be very tight. You're going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul just to make the books balance this year. Moreover, in looking at the draft, the copy of the draft budget for next year that I've seen, I think the revenues, the projected revenues and the projected expenditures are a flight of fantasy, let's say. I think the errors, I think the methodology in determining what revenues are going to be available in the next fiscal year are beyond the pale, and somebody's really wearing some really rose-tinted glasses if they think that's going to work. Therefore, I'm not going to support anything. I'm not going to vote against it, but I'm not going to support anything because I'm not going to dig the hole any deeper or
Well, here,
recommend
let's make
digging
it-
the hole any deeper.
I'll make it simpler. If we have the money, do you like how we want to spend it over the next 5 years, Bob?
No. Roll call, please.
We have a motion.
Should I let council know you'll be at the Thursday budget meeting? Bob?
Yes, you may.
Okay. I'll send out that email or warning, however we want to take it.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Mr. Chairman, did anybody have any chance to look at the goals and things for comprehensive plan? Goals and objectives? I started but did not finish, so I would like to set up a work session in May just to go over the comp plan stuff.
Is it time that we did what we did last time and put together a working group of not just us?
No, I don't think so. No, I'm going to really stand up for staff. I think they've done a wonderful
I meant
collaborative
for
effort.
staff to be in there too.
Well, no, I mean, I think staff is on point on this. I think they've had a wonderful collaborative effort, and I think it's something we can handle. I don't think we're at that point. Now, if it gets past June, then, yeah, we may need to elicit some more help, but I don't think we're there yet.
Is that an offer to volunteer after June?
Nope.
I wanted to seat the panel now. I'll let you chair. All right. Next
I'm
phase.
sorry, I didn't speak out of turn for staff, did I?
You're fine. You're fine.
Thank you.
Next phase. Next phase.
I was just saying, do you want to try to do a separate
Do you want to
work
do
session
it
next month?
before or after planning commission?
We'll probably do it before, that way at the meeting we can have something meaningful for you guys to
So
respond.
something after the May
Tonight.
council meeting.
Or after, can we do something at the end of April, next 2 weeks or so?
As
sit
long
down
as
with
it's
you,
not
just go through
April
the-
30th.
I'm pretty free.
Okay. Is a Saturday, like a Saturday morning better, or during the week in the evening?
Who's bringing the coffee?
Saturday works for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
Sherry,
since
are you-
we're
are you
scheduling
out
it, it would be coordinating with Sherry, Denise, or Jennifer on which one could be here. I know Sherry does not want to be here on a Saturday.
Not from that look on her face now.
Do we have to have a clerk at the work sessions?
Yeah.
If we're having a work session, it'll constitute a meeting, so we have to.
No,
We'll have
we can
quorum.
take the minutes.
We'll have quorum, so
We can take the minutes.
no, we have a policy, in fact, that all business gets put on that.
What about an evening? Is it your afternoon better?
Doesn't matter. Afternoons are going to be a little touchy this time of year for
Counts,
me.
it's all business.
Or evenings?
It's for all business.
Okay. Oh, no, I thought.
Well, it's not Tuesday.
The whole web policy we passed.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm not,
Can we do something on April 20? Monday? Same time?
For me.
we have work session on Tuesday.
Oh, sorry.
Monday, the 20th is fine. We don't have anything in town hall on that night, do we?
Say the 28th?
Monday, the 20th.
28th, okay. That's fine. We could adjourn elsewhere.
We'll double check.
No. All right, no, the 20th sounds good.
All right.
What's the earliest for you guys? Is 6 okay or 7?
I can make 6 work.
6 would be fine with me.
6, okay.
6
The
o'clock.
idea would come there with the documents. We'll go through them, we'll highlight them, get your markings, and we'll consolidate them. So it's the goals and the implementation plan.
Fantastic.
John Marshall Commons.
Mr. Chairman, I've drafted started a letter on it that I will distribute by email. It basically took the comments you had from last month. Requirement for a comprehensive plan amendment, talked about the scale and massing of it with adjacent development, notably Pace West, limited school capacity, no county facilities to support. Talked about the interparcel connections, subject to a private party agreement that has yet to be implemented. Timing of pedestrian connections along Washington Street. We talked about the correct landowner information not being correct for Pace West. Clearly identifying stormwater management facilities for Alexander's Keep. And then just emphasize that there was really no discussion or coordination with the town regarding its roundabout option. And you had noted in the applicant response, they made reference to a no-growth. There's a no-growth statement in the TIA between 2004 and 2012 specific to the town. So we wanted to note that that was not necessarily correct. And then Holly had added a comment as well, and I'll send this out to you for you to review. But we also want to make sure that this didn't mess up our streetscape, our final streetscape phasing. If they're putting a traffic circle in front of the shopping center, what does that do to our ability to connect with our pedestrians? So I will have that in final format for you to read.
I don't know if this is within your purview or whether it's proper, but it occurs to me in reading the packet of materials supplied by the county that county transportation has made several assertions, agreements, leaps of faith with regard to the traffic study and the roundabout and the number of waivers that they have already approved for the development,
Okay.
e.g. the left in, left out, a couple of other things. It has come to my attention that in recent weeks at the county level, I'll say it bluntly, the quality of work by the management of the transportation department of Prince William County has been questioned and perhaps severely lacking. In the last 3 weeks, there have been numerous questions raised at the Board of County Supervisors meeting with regard to similar waivers and even with quick take proceedings, particularly on Route 1 and over in Mid-County where the new one is coming up. Could we get a sense of what's going on down there and if there's any similarities to those complaints to what we're seeing in this transportation staff report and waivers? Do we have the capacity to analyze that?
I can ask Holly to take a look at it. So she would be more versed in that than I would.
I'd be curious because it seems to be a recurring theme at county board meetings, and it seems to be getting louder and louder with each passing week to the point where I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with the quick take stuff from last week, they actually were going to review what county transportation had said
This is regarding waivers for,
Any sort of transportation waivers, traffic waivers, how the roundabout came about with a VDOT approval when nobody seems to know about it, including the owners of the property who would have to have their property taken to accommodate the roundabout. Mind you, they're not town residents per se, but they're directly next door, and one of them's currently under construction. I'm sure their site plan doesn't incorporate losing the corner of their property to a roundabout.
the church.
Is that what it is down there?
Yeah.
Across from the post office?
Oh, across from the post office.
Yeah, on the same side of the street as the post office, but
No,
It's the church.
It's a church.
is it a church?
It's the church.
is it the church and then the office buildings, or the office buildings then the
It's the
church?
church and then the
It goes the post office.
Church, office.
Parcel under construction, then office buildings. But that's where that roundabout is to be configured.
Right
correct?
across
Right
from
there.
the
Right
retail
across
center.
from U.S. Tigers. Yeah, I'd be curious
Okay, I can, so we can,
what the level of awareness is.
I did speak briefly with the district supervisor, Mr. Kalin, and he had mentioned the applicant had met with them and was going to go back and change the unit type from multifamily to a townhouse.
Yeah, but it was going to be double stacks.
Yeah, so like 2 over 2s.
2 over
which is more-
2s.
More or less, you're still a
You're still-
multifamily,
yeah.
but you're calling it differently by
Just calling
shifting
it-
some internal
yeah.
walls. So,
Yeah.
so it has not moved forward in any way, shape, or form. So it's not scheduled for.
Well, there seems to be some difference of opinion on that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Staffs, Mr. Camlin, Supervisor Camlin is not aware of any hearing dates on it. Staff hasn't published any hearing dates, but the applicant is apparently asserting that they are going to be on the Planning Commission schedule in the very near future. I get the DAP schedule every week. I have not seen it. I look specifically for it.
Okay.
So I don't know who's blowing smoke, but I don't want to be caught with our pants down in a short time frame to respond. So.
Okay. I will track that down.
All right.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Anything else?